Emily Bosson with you on the form, and as always, plenty to get through on our show this morning. I'm joined by Aidan Rodley, Matt Cross and Brendan Popplewell. Aidan and Matt midway through a big week at Riccarton, and Brendan just cranking up for Te Rapa. Let's have a little look at what is on the agenda this morning as we break it down into some bite-sized pieces for you and get through all the best races on the weekend. We've got the preview of the Grand National Steeplechase. Elephant takes on Melbourne. A preview of those open races at Riccarton 7 and 8. Cliff Goss Gold Watch, what a wonderful story that is. Te Rapa races 3 and 6. Bevan Sweeney with a Foxton Trials update. Your race tracker update, and to wrap things up, most importantly, best bets. The first race that we want to preview comes in from Riccarton, and it is the running of the 146th Grand National Steeplechase. Tally-Ho Twinkletoe put in a masterful performance last week in the Coral Steeplechase, and understandably a short-priced favourite to do that once again. Welcome in Aidan Rodley and Matt Cross for this section. And Aidan, as I just said, a wonderful jumping performance, and I guess more a case of how are they going to beat Tally-Ho Twinkletoe this weekend?
Yeah, exactly, Emily. He was just so good in the Coral Steeplechase last week, and he gave Sean Phelan an absolute armchair ride. He's won by 16 lengths. He's really beaten them up. So there's 3 or 4 of them coming back from him. Shamal, who was second, Mrs. Twinkletoes, was pretty good in third, and Mr. Enthusiastic, who ran 6th in the Coral as well. I've spoken to a few of those trainers at Riccarton today, and they've just been keeping an eye on Kevin Myers. He's sending, obviously, a truck back to Wanganui after the race day yesterday, and the horses that won't be going around this weekend. But unfortunately for most of them, Tally-Ho Twinkletoe was not on that truck heading back. So we see him going over the last fence, Matt, and he was superb. He's my top selection, and I'm picking he'll be top selection for many as a $1.50 favourite.
Yeah, I think you'd be a little bit hopeless on the punt if you were tipping anything to be beating him, Tally-Ho Twinkletoe. And I think how willing he was inside the last 600 metres just shows how good he was going. Often we'll see them get to the last fence and they'll be very tired, might put in a bit of a long jump or a high jump, but he was so willing right to the line, and you can see on your picture there, he was actually strong through the post to the eye as well, Tally-Ho Twinkletoe. So he's a happy horse. He's from a very good base. He's got a very good rider on Sean Phelan, who coincidentally won the Grand National Hurdle on Wednesday aboard the Cossack, and could be 2 of the best jumpers that he ever sits on. I can't see him beaten, barring bad luck or something to happen during the run. The horse outside of that I guess will be chasing him down is Shamal. The step up and trip and the heavy track's certainly going to suit him, but I don't think he's going good enough to beat what is a very, very good jumper in Tally-Ho Twinkletoe. I don't know what more to say about him, Emily. I think he'll just win.
Yeah, it looks that way, doesn't it? The market certainly indicating that as well. Well, that wraps up our steeplechase preview. Let's have a little look at a star horse, potentially for the spring, in the form of Elephant.
Everyone loves Elephant. He's got loads of character, so yeah, everyone gets on with him pretty well.
Fowler that owns him, he and bred him. You know, he rang up one day and he said, I said, what are you going to call him? You know, he said, we're going to call him Elephant. And I said, what do you mean, elephant with a trunk? And he said, yeah, with a trunk. And then he said, just tell Emily she'll learn to love it. She'll learn to love it. And to be fair, we have.
He's lovely to deal with. He can be quite quirky, but yeah, you sort of work with him. You have to sort of ask him nicely to do stuff, and then he's pretty easy to deal with. He curls his lip up all the time. He loves smiling at everyone.
He was quite weak when he turned up, so he's sort of grown into himself, but always one of those horses when you ride him, he's just very explosive, you know, a lot of natural energy.
Right from when he sort of first arrived, his first couple of gallops, we always thought, oh, you know, he's got a fair bit of ability. And then his first trial, he sort of shocked us because he played up a little bit and didn't go quite to plan. But yeah, then after that, yeah, he's taken us on a really good ride over the summer and things.
The biggest surprise was the first one, to be fair. Cameron Lamas rode him. We're just going to ride him quiet and just get him to switch off, and he's bounced out in front, and then he sort of dictated terms, and he's had a good spook at the golfers on the corner, and then he's kicked home and won well, and then he sort of progressed from there the whole way. But the first one was definitely probably the biggest surprise.
But Elephant, he's got an unusual name, but he's all right at the line. Elephant won it.
he had a really good spell. He's a lot stronger than last time in. He's probably more developed. And yeah, no, we're really happy with him.
We just wanted to give him a quiet trial. He hadn't had a lot of galloping. We just wanted to get him out on a good surface, and Troy was very happy with him, and we just sort of wanted to give him that a good gallop without letting him go, so to speak.
Troy rode him perfectly and just held him all together, and he said he was doing it pretty easy. So yeah, no, we're very, very happy with him. It's always quite nerve-wracking to see how they come up the next preparation. The horses like to surprise you a little bit, but the way he's come up so far, we're very happy with him.
We think he's probably a 2,000 metre horse. Is probably going to be his best trip, you know. But obviously hasn't been that far yet. But I mean, he won first up over a mile, fresh, and broke its maidens. But definitely I think 2,000 is going to be his go.
We've got Rhino, and it looks like his three-quarter sister is going to be Hippopotamus. So yeah, we've got a few zoo animals around here.
He's got a great name, hasn't he? And best of luck to the team when he takes his place in race number 5 at Caulfield. Aidan, it's a wonderful story around this horse, and what an engine he has. I can't wait to see him step out and see how he's developed during that break.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Brown team you heard there have got the 3 horses headed to Melbourne. They'd left the Brown property in Cambridge about sort of middle of the night Tuesday, and they had hoped to get them there sort of first thing Wednesday morning, but there was a flight delay getting over to Melbourne. So they were meant to arrive last night, so hopefully, just haven't heard the latest on that the horses have arrived okay. But you've also got Bifrost heading to the races at Geelong tomorrow, and also Rhinoceros to Cranbourne on Sunday. So a lot for them to look forward to. But like you say, Emily, Elephant has shown us plenty here so far. Just a win or two, pay for the trip, and then they can start thinking big.
Yeah, exactly right. Fingers crossed they can kick things off with a bang and he can show that form that he did show here in New Zealand. There's a look at the market, tab.co.nz, to have a look further at that. As you can see, Elephant there, $3.60 to take out race number 5 at Caulfield on Saturday. And now on to the open races coming in from Riccarton, races 7 and 8. We'll kick things off with race number 7, which is the D. Reynolds Electrical Winter Classic, and it is over the 1,800 metres, the open handicap. Going to call again on Aidan and Matt for this next one. Ratani obviously creating interest, a bit of a surprise when it won the Winter Cup. Can it back up that form, Aidan?
I think so. It was an almighty performance because that was a race that really favoured the swoopers. Here's a horse who's been pushed forward into the trail by Cosiasano and has then fought like a tiger to beat the rest of the field. Now, in behind them, the form is stacked up really well from yesterday's meeting, Wednesday's meeting, with Tappy's One coming out and beating Very Flash, and they'd run 4th and 3rd respectively into that race. Now, they are rivals again. Tappy's One has been re-handicapped 2 kilograms from yesterday's win. But boy, he's impressed. Every time he's just taken the next step up. He's won 6 of 8. And his win yesterday was just superb. He was just going to be in a better position by being able to be handier, take advantage of the draw. He does have really, really good tactical speed. And that made it very hard for, obviously, Very Flash for coming off the speed. We take you back to the Winter Cup. And obviously, Ratani's win was superb here, Matt. But Tappy's One is a horse who I know you've been impressed with. I think he can turn the tables on the stablemate this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely, Aidan, I agree. The only concern, I guess, is probably the 3rd run within the space of a week. But on Wednesday at Riccarton Park, he was prancing around the birdcage like a 2-year-old, and he won accordingly. Very hard horse to get past. I don't think the race was run to suit in terms of where he landed in the Winter Cup. He was back on the outer. I think he's a much better horse when he can get himself up onto the speed, find himself into a rhythm, as he did on Wednesday, holding them off in great fashion. Very Flash, I thought, was good on Wednesday as well. If it starts, could run close. Got into a little bit of traffic halfway up the straight, had to switch ground around to the outside of the horse who was galloping second in the run, and tried to wear down Tappy's One. Had it not got inconvenienced halfway up the straight, might have run a little bit closer, but he's just so hard to get past, Emily, is Tappy's One. And if he leads, which I think he will, without a whole heap of pressure over the 1,800 metres, he therefore becomes the horse to beat. Ratani won't get as good of a run as what she did in the Winter Cup, so I expect that Tappy's One should be turning the tables on her on Saturday.
We can move along to race number 8 on that card from Riccarton. Another open race. It is the Heat Store Open Handicap over the 1400 metres, and we're treated to another really class field here on option 608. As we have a little look through this market, Aidan, Just Ask Me, very hard to ignore that performance in the Winter Cup. We're making up a stack of ground.
Yeah, absolutely. The big thing this time round is he goes up to 62 kilograms, but he was luckless. There's just no two ways about that in the Winter Cup. He was coming around the bend with not only one wall of horses in front of him, but two. And in hindsight, I just wonder whether they should have maybe taken that inside route, and then the horse might have just been able to be given a better chance. He still hit the line really, really well, and obviously his win in the Opunake Cup leading into that was superb as well. He's got to come back to the 1400 metres and take on the sprinters, the likes of Chosen Peak, who was so good hitting the line from just a little bit too far back on the first day as well. But he's the class act in the race. He's a winner. He's won 6 of 12. He handles wet track conditions, and he was something of something beaten anyhow on Saturday. So I'm with Just Ask Me in the Classic.
Yeah, he's been well back too, Aidan. $2.50 into $2.20. 1400 metres, as you mentioned, is ideal for him. Drawn close enough toward the inside, and we saw on Wednesday, toward the inside was actually the place to be. We had a lot of winners come from that area, so I think you're right. If they do elect to try and stay toward the rail with him and try and weave a path coming off the speed, then he's going to be awfully hard to roll. Carson River, I thought, was quite good on Saturday, a horse whom might be better off at 1400 metres. Irish Excuse is a horse second up who could run into multiples. He gave a sight for a long way up the straight, and then you had horses like Chosen Peak, who actually found the line okay. Might have got a little further back than anticipated, and then it was race over by the time Chosen Peak hit top gear. King Cougar was quite good in this as well, but Carson River might be a place chance for those backers if you're looking for something outside of the 220 from Just Ask Me. Carried the 60 kilos here, comes in with 60.5 to his preferred distance, so could be a good place chance. But I think it'll take something pretty good to beat Just Ask Me, barring bad luck. Aidan and Emily should be winning the 8th.
Let's take our form north, and we take in Te Rapa on Saturday. Brendan Popplewell will join me for this segment, and kicking things off early in the program, race number 3 is an open race and it's option 203, a small, Brendan, but select field. Aero de Paris looking to add to that winning record, been in fantastic form this prep.
It really has been. It's a horse that's very hard to knock in terms of what the horse has done so far, especially with those 2 most recent victories. The weekend's race is going to be another test, because on the weekend just gone, a couple of weekends ago, Shoshone really gave Aero de Paris a serious test in front, and they looked at one stage that maybe that horse had the advantage when turning for home, but just a real will to win. I just love the fact that this horse seems to have just ironed out any sort of issues that he's had, from the past couple of seasons. He's just racing as a very genuine horse. He does have to move up in the weight scale on the weekend. He moves to 56.5 after the weight relief of Joe Cameroon, and he's been around that 53.5 kilogram place in the weights. And they've looked towards these open handicap races because he could work his way from the bottom of the handicap. So that'd still be the case, but he does sit in a good place in the weights. It's a very small field once again. He does pick himself. It's a little bit like Tally Ho Twinkletoe in the Grand National, where it's very hard to tip against him in this race. So $1.80 is a fair price.
Yeah, it looks that way. The other open race on the program at Te Rapa is race number 6, the Super Seth at Waikato Stud Mile, obviously over the 1600 metres. Having a little look at the market for this one, and you've got a couple of really nice horses resuming here, Brendan. Bowden, Sherwood Forest, exciting early on in their preparations. Crystallise is the favourite. What do you make of Crystallise, who's been in good form but does have another task here?
Does. Look, and it's a horse that has to go up again, up in distance. If he blew them away last time out, what a great thrill for Ace Lawson Carroll with Crystallise when last to the race, because this horse just ran them into the deck and did bring that right sort of form going into the race from 2 starts ago when beaten in behind Aero de Paris. So I think is the big danger in the race has been that early market mover to $3.50 to around $3. The horse I am still leaning towards is Cheval Promoteur. I do believe that there's a really good race in Cheval Promoteur this season. Now, this horse sits nicely in the weights again on the weekend. Actually drops from what we saw here last time to the race, sitting at 55.5, will come in at 54 kilograms. Just believe he's a horse that sits in a good place on the weekend. Third up this preparation, an unlucky first up run that sort of said to you, I want to be on next start. Certainly punters were, and not disgraced with this defeat and behind battle time, because on the point of the bend, you would have been worried. And then he's picked up very strongly and willing between horses here to give yourself a chance. So a good run into second position from Cheval Promoteur. He does have to work from an awkward barrier draw, but he can find that right spot. He does have that early speed to be able to put himself in the race. So I'm going with Cheval Promoteur just in front of Crystallised with that lightweight.
We've now reached the time to have a little look at our black bookers from the past week or so and find out what everybody has noted down. Matt Cross, we'll start with you. What have you got for us?
Well, a horse that's been knocking for several starts now is the Buffer, who lined up at Riccarton Park on Saturday in a pretty competitive 18-horse 1,200 metres. There he is, well back. Now, he'd have to be fourth, third last there. It's very hard to gauge where the horse is, and he never really got a chance to get his momentum until about the 250, copped a couple of bumps passing the 300. Still in a little bit of an awkward spot there, coming up close to heels. The race was over with the horse in the yellow Tap and Go victorious. Now, this is the Chili Filly form. Both of the first and second horses placed in behind Chili Filly at Awamaru, who came out and won impressively on Wednesday at Riccarton. Best closing 800, 600, 400 and 200. Looks ready to win. Takes on a pretty talented horse by the name of Detafos, though. If the Buffer gets any sort of run, Aidan Rodley, I think he'll go close to winning on Saturday. Yeah, I'm liking your form there, Matt, as well. And I'm just going to go the other way. Normally we see a horse who's a real eye-catcher from back in the field. I'm going to show you one that I thought stuck really gamely against the pattern the other day. And it's a horse outside the leader here in Original Gangster. Now, I'll tell you where the others came from. Zephyr Z comes from 12th. Five Princes, second, comes from 11th. Sir Beats, fourth, comes from 9th. And Point Score comes from last. So you can see it as a clear swoopers race. Original Gangster has gone forward, has done all the donkey work, goes up and hits the front at this point, and still kicks on really gamely. It's a massive effort to be still fighting. Look how far clear these first five are from the rest of the field as well. That's Point Score just coming into fifth place actually at the moment. But it just shows what just a Herculean effort it was from Original Gangster, whose form has been top-notch anyhow. Goes around on Saturday and will be a winning chance as well.
Nice one, Aidan. Right, I'm going to go to last weekend out of Okaka. This horse really called the Eye of Meanie, I'm sure, in race number 7 by the name of Apache Power. Now, what we don't do justice here is what happened at the start with this horse. This horse missed the start by 3 or 4 lengths and was clearly at the tail end of the field. Now, it gets to the outside part of the track here at Okaka. Now, they were in lanes at this time of the race because they were coming from everywhere, and the horse ends up winning this race right up against the inside. Watch the horse right out wide, though, in Apache Power, the daughter of Man of Power. Actually looks to be a chance of even winning this race at one stage. Still finishes on really strongly, runs the right figures, the best 8, 6, 4 and 2 in the race. That's a horse I want to be following and I want to be on, hopefully maybe next week out of Okaka.
Yeah, looks good, Brendan. Thank you for that one. I've gone with Far Too Easy, who took its place in race number 7 at Doomben on Saturday. I'm not allowed a replay. It's not fair. I'm going to complain. It got back, missed the kick and flew home, and it still qualifies for those no Metro win handicaps, so it should be well placed when it next steps out. There's an overview of our race tracker horses. Aidan, Matt, Brendan and myself note those down and we can follow them in the coming weeks. Well, let's get to the most important part of the show where we find out everybody's best bets. Before we do that, we're going to wind back the clock and see how we're all faring after last week's action. Bevan up 210% with Love Storm. Oh, Aidan and Matt, not looking good for you. Down minus 100%. Brendan, myself, we're going good. Pip, going very good as well, the 70% with her winner too. Let's wipe the slate clean, have a little look at this week. And Matt, what do you like?
Wipe the slate clean, you reckon? So we're not going to carry on with this minus 100% stuff. I don't know about playing that game, to be fair. At least Aidan's gone down with the ship with me. He's not going with me this week, though, so we're on our own. Pays the Power. I'm going to go with Pays the Power out of the very much informed Ross Beckett base on Saturday. Gets into a race with not a whole lot of depth, and she brings some excellent maiden form with a placing behind Chili Philly. Now, she's very talented. If you don't watch trackside and you didn't see Chili Philly on Wednesday, go back and watch it. She's very talented. The start after that ran into Detta Foss at Ashburton, who looks a great chance in a rating 65 on Saturday. And then I thought her run at Oamaru the other day was excellent on a very testing track, kept giving to the line, wide draw 1,400 metres. I think she'll be winning on Saturday. Anything over $3 is good shopping. She's a horse that looks ready to win.
It's interesting how we're on zero, isn't it, Matt? Because for the last few weeks we've shown the horse to follow, and like last week we showed the previous week's horse to follow. Yet for some reason, even though I'd kicked home 3 best bets in a row, we started on last week when I had a loser. So anyhow, we're going to get it right this week. Kahuro goes around in the first the 0 to 1 win hurdle, and it'll win by a street. So that's me done.
He'll pay $1.40, Aidan.
Yeah, or I'm on the board that way, Matt.
Maybe we could just take a multi with Tally Ho, Twinkle Toe and that selection there in Kaharo. Could we take Aero de Paris also? I'll keep away from anything curling like that. I'll go for a horse that I have been very keen on since I saw this runner in second in a maiden race at Riverton, and I've been wanting to follow him ever since, and he is a horse by the name of Dunhill, who races in race number 5. This horse loves wet ground, is fresh up to the carnival on Saturday. We'll have 58 kilograms, but the weight relief will be a big assistance for the horse, and we'll just get through the ground. Been really pleased with what I've seen in the last 6 starts. Last 6 starts, 3 wins and 3 seconds, and hoping the horse can carry on with that winning business on the weekend out of Riccarton for the Tigers.
Thanks for that, Brendan. I reckon that the moaning in the best bets category is contagious, because I'm going to moan now. I've gone with Ulaanbaatar as my best bet, but I've been wound up like a cog all morning that I've made the wrong decision. So fingers crossed. But Ulaanbaatar, obviously the team thought a little bit of it. Raced in Stakes Company last preparation. Did lose the rider in a rather dramatic event up the straight, but back for a new preparation. Contacted Stephen Marsh, and he is hopeful that it will win, disappointed if it doesn't. So good luck to Ulaanbaatar. Trial behind Sherwood Forest as well. So note those down. We've got across all codes here with Rozzo, Pip, Justin, all getting involved with our best bets. And check those days as well, because spread across the whole weekend. Well, that wraps up our best bets and the form. We hope you've enjoyed it, and good luck with your investments over the weekend.